We're good? We're started? We've already started
Yes,
recording.
correct.
Amazing. Okay. I just wanted to start this by saying congratulations to all of our Taurus friends and to all of our fixed signs
Oh, yeah.
who made it out.
Made it out alive, barely.
Made it out alive, barely.
That GIF that's all over. It's not even a GIF. It's just a photo of that like dog with the wig on itself on like TikTok.
Yes.
Truly me.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's my turn.
Good luck.
Thanks, babe.
I feel like as a mutable sign though, because fixed signs are have like a much harder time with change or like don't really know what to do with change.
Yeah.
It was probably a lot harder for us to like weed through this, whereas a mutable sign is kind of like, all right.
Yeah. I can definitely go with the flow for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
we'll see.
we'll see.
I got a lot of mutable signs in my... For someone who doesn't shut the fuck up, I have a lot of mutable signs in my chart.
Is that not a mutable sign character?
It's just funny because they're called mutables. And I don't mute ever.
Oh, I didn't even correlate the two. But you're right. That's true. That's true. I've just always associated mutables with being like
Annoying.
like conversational, like
Yeah,
very
yeah.
go with the flow. You know,
Yeah.
I just feel like flow is conversation.
Totally.
I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just my
I got you.
Anyway.
Thanks.
Well, it's welcome back to Paranormal.
Yeah, this is Paranormal. Welcome back.
Welcome back. And we're going to do some horoscopes. And
Yeah.
Murray's going to do mine first.
So, things aren't always as they first appear. People you thought you knew well and circumstances that you thought you understood thoroughly now seem anything but straightforward. Has the world really changed that much, or has your perception altered somehow? It's time to direct this altered vision inward. You're ready for a change, Leo. Perhaps it's time to dust off that resume.
Where did...
It didn't even say anything about work.
That's what
and
I
then
mean.
at the
It had
very
nothing
end, it
to
was
do
like
with work.
resume.
I mean, I'm not... I will never apply to another job again.
Yeah.
Like, my next move is definitely not applying to anywhere.
No, it's housewife.
No.
Podcasting housewife.
No, it's me getting my real estate license or
yeah.
working for this like doing something in government.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not housewife. Fuck that shit.
I was joking. It was a joke.
Yeah, that's offensive. But more so just I can't work underneath people anymore. I can work for people. I can work for the public.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can do things for people. But I'm not good with and leading to the end thing. Like the beginning makes sense because yes, I am fucking sick of how people operate in leadership in a lot of organizations and in a capitalist world, how leadership it functions. Not a big fan of it. So fuck the resume. I'm gonna make my own work.
Okay.
Apply to myself.
Okay.
So that's
Very good.
that's all I got. I don't know. That seems like a more like a life thing, not a day thing though. Anyway, yours is, just how long has it been since you indulged in a big helping of your favorite guilty pleasure, Gemini? It's time to let the youngster in you come out and play today. Eat that chocolate, read those mindless magazines, or skip down the sidewalk. You've been taking life much too seriously lately. Even grown-ups are entitled to indulge in the pleasures of youth from time to time.
Okay. I mean, I didn't do anything like that today. I worked my grown-up job and was
The day is young.
the night is young and I'm ready to party. No, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I could still do something. I could go buy some chocolate, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I got an what's it called? One of those eggs in my closet from Easter.
a Cadbury cream egg.
Correct.
I'll take that home.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just going to steal your shit.
Just well, line with your horoscope. That's all. Okay. Well, your story's first.
Yeah, I go first today, and I'm going to talk about something. It's a Canadian story.
Ooh. I love a locale story.
So, in the 70s, my favorite era.
Yeah.
I love the 70s.
I love the 70s.
And I love Canada.
I feel like the 70s for millennials are like the 90s for Gen Z.
It is. They love the 90s, which makes me want to throw up because we're now...
Because we're literally only a decade away, 2 decades away from that. Like, pick a cooler generation.
Well, when we were in the 90s, only 2 decades away was the 70s.
Oh, fuck. I guess so.
Ah, fuck.
It felt like a little bit longer.
Yeah, it did. It felt like
a little
many moons. Anyway, okay, listen.
Go ahead.
In 1972, a group of researchers in Toronto set out to test a very unusual idea about the paranormal.
Oh.
So they're part of an organization known as the Toronto Society for Psychical Research. And we just had to pause so we could Google how to pronounce psychical, so everybody knows. And instead of trying to prove that ghosts existed, they wanted to explore something way weirder.
Okay.
They wanted to know whether the human mind itself could create a ghost.
Huh.
So the premise of their experiment is simple, but it's strange. Rather than searching for a real spirit, they decide to invent one from scratch. And then they try to communicate with it like it's real.
Like manifesting a spirit?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. So to do this, they gather a small group of 8 volunteers. None of these people claim to be psychics or have any special abilities. They're ordinary people. They're from different backgrounds. There's an accountant. There's a housewife, which is not
Nicolina.
Insulting or Nicolina. and a sociology student. Those are like 3 of the different archetypes that we have in this group.
Got it.
The idea was that if anything weird happened, it couldn't be easily explained away by someone that was secretly pretending to be a medium.
Okay.
Okay. So the first phase of the experiment involves creating a fictional character. Over a series of meetings, the group carefully constructed the life story of a man that they named Philip Aylesford. They decided that he would be a 17th century English nobleman living in the 1600s.
Okay.
According to the story that they created, Philip was married to a woman named Dorothea, but the marriage was unhappy and emotionally distant. Eventually, I know, right? Eventually, Philip fell in love with a Romany woman named Margot, and the two began a secret relationship. It feels so weird telling this as if it's like
a real person.
This is who they've concocted. Yes. Right. When Dorothea discovered the affair, she accused Margot of witchcraft, which ultimately led to her execution.
Wow.
Devastated by guilt and grief, Philip later dies by suicide.
Oh my.
So again, like I just said, I've written down here, every detail of the story is fictional. The researchers were careful to ensure that there were no historical record of Philip or any of the people connected to him. He was in every sense an invented person. I don't know how many more times I have to say it.
Okay.
He's not real.
Yes.
Once they fully developed his background, the group moved on to the next phase of the experiment, which is attempting to contact him.
Okay.
This person that they've made up.
Got it.
So they begin holding regular seances.
Yeah.
And they're sitting together around a table and they're attempting to communicate with Philip. And in the beginning, nothing happens.
No, really.
And for several weeks, the group experiences nothing. No movement, no sounds, no signs of any presence. The experiment is, seemingly failing.
Uh-huh.
At that point, the researchers decided to change their approach. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Instead of treating the sessions as a rigid scientific exercise, they tried to create a more relaxed and an emotionally engaging atmosphere. They dim the lights, they play music.
For who? A made-up fucking entity?
For Philip. And they encourage the group members to speak to Philip as though he's already there.
Okay.
Instead of trying to make him come to them.
Okay.
So they're like joking with him and asking him questions, and they're trying to build a sense of connection here.
Mm-hmm.
So after this, things begin to change. And the group starts to notice subtle movements in their table.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it was slight vibrations, which could easily have been dismissed. But these movements start to become more pronounced over time. and the table begins to tilt and rock. And eventually the group reported that they were hearing distant knocking sounds.
Okay.
Yeah. And so to make sense of the responses, they established a simple system that 1 knock means yes and 2 means no.
Okay.
So they begin asking him questions, starting with basic ones. I know, right? When they asked if he was present, they received 1 knock, yes. When they asked if he lived in England, again, they get a yes.
Okay.
And at first, the answers are aligning closely with the story that the group created, but as they continue with the session, something really weird starts happening. The group starts asking questions that go beyond the details that they had invented. So in some cases, they reported receiving answers that seemed consistent and coherent, as though the entity they were communicating with had developed its own personality.
But how? I don't get it. Like, how, if he's just responding with a yes or a no, how is he doing?
They're asking it questions that they did not come up with in the backstory of it, and it's still answering them.
Oh, okay. But they're still coming up with the questions.
Correct.
Like, they're still leading. They're leading the direction of this.
Right. But like,
thing.
For example, let's say they never talked about his mother. They could be like, was your mom a blonde? And they receive a no.
Instead of nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
The physical phenomena also became more dramatic. The table didn't simply vibrate. It starts moving with like greater force. Sometimes it would tilt significantly, and on occasion it would lift off the ground entirely.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. The events were reportedly witnessed by multiple participants at the same time. And as the experiment progressed, the researchers invited people to come and observe and attend the sessions. They wanted outside perspectives and attempted to document what was happening. And some of the sessions were filmed, and it would show the group seated around a table with their hands resting lightly on its surface while it appeared to move in response to questions. This experiment eventually became known as the Philip experiment, and it gained attention not only for its results, but for its implications. If the group's experiences were genuine, it suggested that the phenomena that they encountered didn't originate from a real historical spirit. Instead, it appeared to emerge from the collective focus and imagination of the participants of the study.
Or they just summoned another spirit that
Possibly.
was like willing to interact with them.
Right? Following the original experiment, other groups attempted to replicate the results using the same method. They created other fictional characters, they conducted similar séances, and in some cases they reported experiencing comparable phenomena, including the table movements and the responsive knocking, which suggested that the results were not necessarily unique to the original group of people. And despite these accounts, many skeptics argue that the events can be explained by the ideomotor effect.
Okay.
So this is a psychological phenomenon in which individuals make small unconscious movements without realizing it.
Yeah, okay.
This is what they use to explain Ouija boards all the time, right?
Yes.
But participants actually feel like there's an external force that's guiding the actions. And according to this explanation, the group members may have been subtly influencing the table without conscious awareness. I don't know how that.
But like I would notice if someone kept doing it, like that would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And like the knocking, like every answer, you can't tell if a friend is or someone around you is like
knocking?
somewhat doing that.
Yeah. Strange.
I don't know.
Lifting of the table was weird to me. Tilting, maybe. Vibrating, maybe. Lifting off the ground with their hands resting atop it.
I mean,
right?
Anything's possible. Like, I mean, I'm not convinced of them talking to a imaginary made up
thing
energy
that
doesn't
real.
Exist.
Yeah, my guess is definitely that it was something that was already there. That's
what I think it is. And they were like, I'm going to respond to these fuckers.
Philip.
Yeah.
So the Philip experiment remains difficult to dismiss entirely. The Philip experiment remains difficult to dismiss entirely. The consistency of the responses, the apparent development of personality, and the shared experience among multiple participants raise questions that are not easily answered. Whether the results were the product of unconscious movement, of group psychology, or something less easily explained, the experiment challenges the boundary between imagination and reality. At its core, the Philip experiment suggests a deeply unsettling possibility that under the right conditions, belief, focus, and collective intention may be capable of producing experiences that feel external, autonomous, and real, even if no ghost was ever present. The participants encountered something that behaved as though it was. And that leaves one question. If something can be created in this way, through expectation, attention, and shared belief, then how certain can we be about the origin of other paranormal experiences?
Yeah, I think that that's really what the conclusion of this experiment kind of says, is that if they can manifest their own ghost through just their beliefs, like if they all believe collectively that they are talking to a ghost, there isn't one, but they think they are, so then they've concocted the reactions and all of that. Then how many other people also can do that to themselves, right? Like if they really believe that they have a ghost around them, then maybe they could be imagining their own things happening, for sure.
I think there was a scary movie that was based on this experiment too, that came out like not that long ago, like a few years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called though.
Like I truly believe that you can make up your own. Okay, this is fucking crazy.
Tell me.
That you're saying this right now. This morning, I woke up to what I thought was my mom saying, Neen.
Oh, okay.
And I obviously don't live with my mother.
Yeah.
She'll come to the door and she'll like open it, whatever, like say my name or whatever. Yeah. But like I really thought that it was her calling me and woke me from my slumber. And I was like, okay, she's not here. What the fuck was that? Was it in my dream?
Right.
Or maybe a mimic, but then I heard nothing else afterwards.
Yeah, it was probably.
But it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then I immediately messaged her being like, "Hey, are you okay?" Because I was just like,
of course.
She good? Like, do we have a problem here? But yeah, I don't know but I was just like, I was in the dead of sleep, so it's not like I intentionally thought of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was creepy.
Strange. Very strange.
Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break, and I've got a long story for you guys.
Okay.
It's not even over, so here we go. Okay. So, as I'm sure most of our listeners have heard by now, there is some suspicions and conspiracies around now 12 scientists who have either died or disappeared over the course of, I don't know, maybe the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's not been a long time that they've all died. Of course, that is to say that many people die over the course of 5 years. And there are a lot of scientists in the world. Like, we can't just say, oh, because 12 scientists died over the course of 5 years, they're all connected.
Yeah.
But it seems as though there's some parallels, and them saying, I am not going to, the ones that have committed or unalived themselves, they have been clear in saying, I am not suicidal.
Right.
So then there's conspiracies around, well, these people have just told a bunch of people that they are not going to unalive themselves, but now they've now been found deceased. And it seemingly
soon after
they've said that, right? A lot of them have also apparently experienced what some people are calling Havana Syndrome or signs of Havana Syndrome, which has been something that was an anomaly that has been occurring over the last 10 years amongst a lot of specifically U.S. Like government officials. So I decided to do some investigation into this. And there's a lot of stuff that we kind of know and don't know about this syndrome and what people have experienced. So I will start with our first man who's going to be the center of this story, kind of. It is Mark Polymeropoulos, who had spent 26 years in the CIA. He served in war zones in Iraq and Afghanistan. He'd been shot at, but nothing prepared him for what happened in a hotel room in Moscow in December of 2017. He woke up in the middle of the night. The room was spinning. He had vertigo so severe he couldn't stand. His ears were ringing, and he felt violently ill. He said, "I woke up in the middle of the night to NBC News because I had this incredible case of vertigo. It felt almost as if I was in some kind of carnival ride, and I had no control." He thought it was food poisoning. Like, his mind didn't go directly to anything nefarious. He just thought he had food poisoning. So he finished his 10-day trip to Russia and came home. And over the following months, he was experiencing debilitating migraines every single day. His concentration collapsed, and he came to believe something more disturbing had happened to him. And he was not alone. Not by a long shot. So on today's episode of Paranormal, I'm about to talk about Havana Syndrome, what we know, what the government has said, and what it may be hiding. The story, at least the part the public knows, begins in late 2016. So this instance that Mark had begun about a year before, when the newly reopened U.S. Embassy in Havana, Cuba, during the Obama administration, had just completed a historic diplomatic reopening, the first American embassy in Havana in over 50 years. Diplomats and intelligence officers were living and working in the country for the first time in a generation. Then people started to getting sick. The symptoms followed a pattern: a sudden onset, often at night, of a loud, directional sound described variously as high-pitched chirping, a grinding noise, or intense pressure. Then, in the hours and days that followed, vertigo, nausea, severe headaches, tinnitus, and over time, cognitive difficulties. Memory loss also happened, difficulty concentrating, and the ability to read a document they'd been reading moments before, so they could no longer just read.
Wow, okay.
So basically exactly what this Mark guy seemed to have inferred in Moscow. But this is happening in Havana. Cuba, a year or so before. By 2017, the number of reported cases at the U.S. Embassy in Havana had climbed past 24. The State Department began evacuating personnel, and the Trump administration, in retaliation, expelled 15 Cuban diplomats from Washington, one of the largest diplomatic expulsions in decades. The U.S. government sent affected diplomats to the University of Pennsylvania for medical evaluation. In 2018, a team there published findings in the Journal of the American Medical Association, reporting evidence consisted with concussion and brain injury in patients who had no documented head trauma. The paper described differences in white matter, changes in brain connectivity, and functional abnormalities in the cerebellum. So basically, medical science seemed to indicate something significant, but the question was what caused it.
Right.
If Havana Syndrome had stayed in Havana, it might have remained a strange diplomatic incident, but it didn't. Reports emerged from U.S. consulate staff in Guangzhou, China, in 2017 and 2018 with the same symptoms, then Germany, then Vienna, Austria, which by 2021 had become a significant cluster of cases, with over 24 reported among U.S. personnel, then Colombia, then London. And then more alarmingly, cases were reported in U.S. soil. In 2020, Defense Department investigators briefed Congress about an incident at the Ellipse, the park just south of the White House, where CIA officers reported incidents near the agency's headquarters in Langley, Virginia. By early 2022, the number of reported cases among U.S. government personnel and their family members had exceeded 1,000.
Wow.
The government stopped calling it Havana Syndrome. They stopped calling it Havana Syndrome internally and began using a clinical term, which was anomalous health incidents, or AHIs.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Great. 1,000 people across dozens of countries were reporting these same constellation of symptoms. Senator Jeanne Sheehan, a Democrat from New Hampshire, said her office received complaints from employees across the State Department, Commerce Department, and CIA. She noted publicly that some employees were doubted when they reported the symptoms, some were pressured to stay silent, some were ostracized and reprimanded for saying they were sick. That institutional failure would become one of the most consistent threads in the story. Don't really know why, but Mark Polymeropoulos had been the CIA's deputy chief of operations for the Europe and Eurasia Mission Center when he traveled to Moscow. That job included overseeing operations against Russia. When he returned from Moscow in December 2017 and reported his symptoms to the CIA's Office of Medical Services, he was told his symptoms were not consistent with what Havana patients had experienced, which seems weird because it was like exactly what he thought it was the exact same thing. He asked repeatedly to be evaluated at the University of Pennsylvania, where the government was sending injured officers, but was refused. He said, "I had a long and arduous battle with the CIA to obtain treatment. By early 2018, he had developed brain fog and lost his ability to work at a computer for more than a few hours at a time.
Oh my God.
He retired from the CIA in 2019 and not by choice." Military doctors at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center ultimately diagnosed him with a traumatic brain injury sustained in the line of duty, which he didn't think was the reason for this. During one of the art therapy sessions at Walter Reed, a CIA colleague who had also been affected painted a picture he titled "The Gunshot." He told CBS News, "This is the invisible wound that no one believed us for a long time." Mark was eventually contacted by CIA Director William Burns, who had been appointed in 2021, and made the AHI investigation a stated priority. In Mark's own words, Burns expressed extraordinary compassion and empathy. In contrast, he said, to the previous CIA leadership, who had privately denigrated victims, including himself, by accusing us of fabricating our conditions for financial gain. To CBS News, Mark was more direct. "This is a massive CIA cover-up, and I say this with great regret. It's an organization that I loved. I believe in the mission." But Mark is not a peripheral figure here. He was a 26-year CIA veteran who received the Distinguished Career Intelligence Medal. When someone like that goes on television and uses the words "massive cover-up," it's a big deal to the CIA. To understand what might be causing these symptoms, we need to go back to 1960. And a biologist named Alan Frey, working at Cornell University's Advanced Electronics Center for General Electric. Frey was visiting a research radar installation when a technician had told him something strange. He could hear the radar. Not the mechanical hum of the equipment, but the radar itself. Frey was skeptical, of course. Then he tried it himself, and he could hear it too. What followed was a series of experiments that found an entirely new field of scientific inquiry. Frey's landmark 1961 paper in the Journal of Applied Physiology documented that human subjects could perceive sounds, buzzing, clicking, hissing, induced by pulsed microwave radiation at power densities far below accepted safety thresholds. Crucially, Even deaf subjects could hear them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The sounds were being generated not through the ear, but directly inside the head.
Okay.
So the mechanism, scientists later determined, is thermoelastic expansion. A brief, intense microwave pulse is absorbed by the soft tissue of the head, causing a tiny, nearly instantaneous temperature increase. That expansion launches a pressure wave through the skull to the cochlea, something like
cochlea.
cochlea.
Is it
It's spelled cochlea, but it's pronounced cochlea.
Okay.
That's what I looked up.
Okay.
Anyway, it's the inner ear's hearing organ.
Right. Yes.
Triggering a sound perception that bypasses the acoustic pathway entirely. The phenomenon is now known as the microwave auditory effect or the Frey effect. It is not disputed science. It is documented, replicated, and published in peer-reviewed journals. So this is real science here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Soviets noticed this immediately.
Okay.
This published scientific journal.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm. According to a 1976 warning from the Defense Intelligence Agency, Soviet research on microwaves for what they called internal sound perception showed great promise for disrupting the behavior patterns of military or diplomatic personnel. And there was already precedent. The Soviet Union had been directing low-level microwave beams at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow for the 1950s through the 1970s, a surveillance and harassment operation that became known as the Moscow Signal. The CIA launched a classified investigation called Project Pandora in the mid-1960s specifically to study its effects. In 2012, Vladimir Putin publicly declared that Russia would pursue what he called new instruments for achieving political and strategic goals, including psychophysical weapons.
Jesus Christ. These people are mad scientists.
They are mad megalomaniacs.
Jesus Christ. Leave us alone.
Yeah. So the question was whether someone had turned them into a deployable weapon and used it. Mm-hmm. So they knew about these microwave frequencies. They knew that they could be used for altering patterns in people's behavior. And the question was, did they do anything about it?
Right.
And by the sounds of it, Vladimir Putin was willing to explore this
Sounds like it.
opportunity. So in 2020, the State Department commissioned the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, the most prestigious scientific advisory body in the United States, to assess the evidence from the Havana cases. So they're finally looking at the Havana cases again.
Okay.
The committee determined that directed pulsed radio frequency energy was the most plausible explanation for the core cluster of cases among Havana embassy personnel. The report stopped short of identifying a perpetrator, though, but it gave the weapon theory a degree of scientific credibility that was difficult to dismiss.
Okay.
Dr. David Relman of Stanford University, a microbiologist who chaired one of the Academy's assessments, had been a consistent and careful voice on this issue. He has said repeatedly that even the most sophisticated brain scans can miss subtle injury, especially if significant time has passed since the incident, and that lumping all reported cases together in a single study risks obscuring real signal with noise.
Okay.
So basically, like, they didn't want to say that this was a weapon used against these people, but they did want to validate that there could be a possibility of a weapon used, but they couldn't definitively determine it. But the fact that all these cases were lumped together made it harder for them to actually determine if there was a consistent thing used against them, right? So in 2024, 2 new studies from the National Institute of Health used advanced MRI techniques to examine the brains of more than 80 affected government employees and compare them to matched controls. Neither study found a significant structural difference. Dr. Relman, writing an editorial accompanying that research, acknowledged the finding, but cautioned that the studies had methodological limitations and that absence of evidence was not evidence of absence. There are multiple problems with both of the studies, he wrote. Even the most sophisticated brain scans can miss a subtle brain injury, especially if the brain has had time to heal. The science, in other words, is genuinely contested. Researchers on both sides of this debate are serious people working in good faith. What neither side disputes is that the affected individuals are experiencing real symptoms and real suffering. In March 2023, 7 U.S. intelligence agencies issued a joint assessment under the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Their conclusion: it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary had caused AHIs. And there was no credible evidence that a weapon was capable of causing them even existed.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
You sure?
You sure about that?
You sure about that? You sure about that's not why?
Yeah. 2 agencies versus 5. This assessment enraged both victims and a significant portion of Congress. But in January 2025, something shifted. New intelligence led 2 of those same intelligence agencies to revise their assessments. They now concluded it was possible that a small number of cases had been caused by a novel weapon wielded by a foreign actor. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, while maintaining the broader assessment of the larger group of agencies, acknowledged that analysts could not rule out foreign involvement in some subset of cases.
You don't say.
So it was 2 agencies versus 5, a genuine split inside the intelligence community. In March and April of 2024, 3 major investigative outlets, CBS's 60 Minutes, Germany's Der Spiegel, and the Russia-focused investigative outlet The Insider, published the results of a 5-year joint investigation. It was to date the most detailed attempt to identify who might be responsible. The investigation focused on GRU Unit 29155.
From the Minions.
Oh, I've never watched the Minions.
Or Despicable Me, whatever. The guy's
Gru,
name is
the
Gru.
guy. Yeah. Gotcha.
Sorry.
Which is a secretive Russian military intelligence unit that had been linked to the 2018 poisoning of Sergei Skripal in the UK.
How secretive is it if we know about it?
Well, that's true.
But go on.
But the 2014 ammunition warehouse explosions in Czech Republic.
Oh, fuck.
And multiple other destabilization operations across Europe. So that's what this unit was responsible for. Investigative reporter Christo Grozov, who first publicly identified Unit 29155's existence in 2018, described the unit's members as trained in what he called a versatile range of covert operations: surveillance, explosives, poison, and potentially directed energy. Grozov told 60 Minutes he found a document, a piece of accounting, in which an officer of Unit 29155 received a financial bonus for work described as related to potential capabilities of non-lethal acoustic weapons.
Oh, fuck. These people are evil. Like, this is so
it's crazy.
Gross.
It's insane. And it's insane how we don't know any of it.
I know.
Like, we know some of it, but it's just like insane
We
how
don't
much
even
is concealed.
know.
You don't even know.
We just know the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. Basically, it just told us that this particular unit had been engaged with somewhere, somehow, empirical tests of a directed energy unit. Beyond the document, the investigation found that members of Unit 29155 or 29155 could be geolocated through phone records and travel manifests to locations where AHISs had been reported, including a case in Frankfurt, Germany in 2014, predating the Havana cases, and in Tbilisi, Georgia in 2021. In the Tbilisi case, an American nurse, the wife of a Justice Department official at the U.S. Embassy, reported that on October 7th, 2021, while she was in her laundry room, she was hit by a piercing, acute sound in her left ear and intense pressure in her head. She later identified a man she had seen outside her home that day as Albert, I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to do my best, Avranov, the son of the commander and founder of Unit 29155.
Oh, shit.
The CIA station in Tbilisi subsequently confirmed that Avranov had traveled to Georgia in that time frame.
Oh, fuck.
The Kremlin dismissed the reporting as baseless, unfounded accusations by the media. The CIA, for its part, stood by the 2023 original assessment that couldn't have been possible.
Right.
They weren't going to confirm weapons like this.
Right.
Greg Edgreen, a retired Army Greg Edgreen, a retired Army lieutenant colonel who ran the Defense Intelligence Agency's investigation into AHIs from 2021 to 2023, spoke publicly for the first time in the 60 Minutes report. He said it was his opinion that the U.S. was being attacked by Russia. He noted something else, that cases were not random. The top 5 to 10% of performing officers across the intelligence community had been disproportionately impacted, and they shared a common factor. Consistently, there was a Russian nexus. There was some angle where they had worked against Russia, focused on Russia, and done extremely well.
There you go.
In March 2026, The Insider and 60 Minutes reported that what may be the most significant development in the story to date. So that was a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. According to 3 sources, the U.S. government, specifically a mission involving the Department of Homeland Security, purchased a device on the black market in 2024 using funds from the Pentagon. The total cost of the mission was described as exceeding $15 million. The device is described as a miniaturized microwave weapon small enough to be carried by a person. It runs silently. It produces no heat like a conventional microwave oven. It is programmable for different scenarios and operable by remote control. The range of its beam extends several hundred feet and can penetrate windows and drywall. Its vital components were manufactured in Russia.
Jesus.
The sources told The Insider and 60 Minutes that the device was purchased from a complex Russian criminal network.
Holy shit.
My ass is on the line after this episode.
You're next. Guys, I just want to say right now, I don't believe none of it. Don't come for me. I don't believe any of this.
I just want to say
real.
I am not suicidal. Just FYI. Just in case.
Yeah.
So, if accurate, this microwavable weapon thing, miniaturized microwave weapon, not microwavable. It's it might be, but I feel it would blow up.
Oh, God.
If accurate, this is a portable directed energy weapon built in Russia, now in the hands of the U.S. government, which the intelligence community has been telling the public does not credibly exist.
Right.
The National Security Agency and the U.S. Army's National Ground Intelligence Center both revised their assessments in 2024. One agency found there was roughly an even chance such a device had been developed.
Oh, okay.
The other gave the same probability that it could have already been used.
Could have. We don't know.
We don't know.
Who's to say? Who could never be sure?
Okay. I don't understand. Like, these are supposed to be like the top agencies making these, and they're just like, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. You decide. Up to you. Anyway,
what do you think?
What do you think about it?
Like when a teacher, you ask them for the answer, and they're like, "What do you think the answer is?"
The Office of the Director of National Intelligence told 60 Minutes that a new comprehensive review of AHIs would be conducted. The Trump administration, as of early 2026, has briefed top intelligence officials in Congress and shown them a classified image of the newly purchased device.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they're probably telling them this and then they're going to do nothing.
No shit.
In November 2024, senior National Security Council officials invited 6 victims to the White House Situation Room, an extraordinary meeting in the final weeks of the Biden administration. Among those present was Mark Polyamouropoulos, Dr. David Relman, then a White House advisor who helped organize the meeting. According to both Relman and Polyamouropoulos, officials in that room told the 6 victims plainly, "We believe you." Retired Major General Paul Fredericks, formerly one of the Pentagon's top doctors, attended the meeting and personally apologized to the victims for the way they had been treated. Polyamouropoulos told 60 Minutes that he has chills now thinking about it. "I had chills then. It was an indication that at least some people in the Biden administration believed us." Sources told 60 Minutes that the Biden White House drafted a public statement backing the victims, but never released it. Congress did pass the Havana Act in 2021, signed into law by President Biden, authorizing the CIA and State Departments to provide financial compensation to personnel with AHIs. A 2024 report by the Government Accountability Office found that many survivors were still struggling to access adequate care, that the system was delayed, confusing, and often inaccessible to people unfamiliar with military health system. Mark Polyamouropoulos, writing in March 2026, put it plainly. He wakes up every day with a migraine. He has since 2017. He holds multiple CIA commendations. He was medically retired from the agency he loved, and for years that agency told him and the public that his injuries were probably stress. So, before I close, here is what we know about this case, because this story has attracted a lot of speculation that clarity matters here. And obviously, we're probably going to hear more about this, especially with this investigation into the 12 deceased scientists. So, number 1, hundreds of U.S. government employees and their family members reported a consistent set of symptoms beginning in Havana in 2016 and continuing across multiple countries and years. That's just in the U.S. There was obviously other cases that predate that, like in Germany, that we probably don't know about. 2, the 2020 National Academies of Sciences report concluded that directed pulsed radiofrequency energy was the most plausible explanation for the core Havana cases. 3, the 2024 NIH studies found no structural brain abnormalities in a broader sample of AHI patients, challenging the earlier University of Pennsylvania findings. 4, the broader intelligence community has assessed it as very unlikely a foreign adversary, but 2 agencies dissent from that judgment, and the House Intelligence Committee has publicly challenged its analytic integrity. 5, a 5-year joint investigation by 60 Minutes, Der Spiegel, and The Insider produced documentary evidence linking Russia's GRU Unit 29155 to the development of non-lethal acoustic weapons and placed unit members at the locations of at least 4 specific AHI incidents. 6, according to reporting from March 2026, the U.S. government has physically acquired what sources described as a miniaturized Russian microwave weapon purchased on the black market. Here is what remains genuinely unknown. How many of the more than 1,000 reported cases were caused by a directed energy weapon versus stress, environmental factors, or pre-existing conditions? We do not have that information. Whether the Russian government directed the use of such a weapon as policy, or whether it was a rogue operation or something else entirely. We do not know that. Why the intelligence community's assessment is so sharply at odds with congressional investigations and the 2024 intelligence revisions. We don't know why that's happening either. What we do know is that people were harmed, many of them severely, that some were told they were lying, and that the government drafted a statement saying it believed them and chose not to release it.
Right.
The investigation continues. The people affected continue to suffer, and somewhere in the classified files of multiple U.S. intelligence agencies, there is apparently a picture of a weapon, a small Russian-made portable silent microwave device that the official assessment still insists probably doesn't exist.
Jesus.
And that is the Havana Syndrome. The story.
Jeez Louise.
That was 40 minutes. That was like 35 minutes long.
Well, good for you.
I'm tired.
Okay, well then let's end this.
Yeah, let's end this. And also, let's find out. Release the weapon to the public and the Epstein files.
Just give it to me.
Yeah, just give it to us, guys.
I won't do anything bad.
I won't book a trip to Russia.
I won't do that. I won't show up at Galen Weston's home.
Oh my God. That is a Canadian niche subject, but agreed. Well, on that note,
stay spooky.
Because that showbiz, baby.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.